Self-insured employers in the United States currently lock away millions of dollars in static reserves to cover projected long-term healthcare liabilities. Healthcare Reserve Release as a Service, or HRRAS, is a financial mechanism designed to reclaim these trapped funds. This diagram shows how, for every participating employee, an estimated $1,700 can be systematically detached from static actuarial liabilities and migrated directly into active working capital. This transition bypasses the operating budget entirely, requiring no traditional procurement cycle or budget amendments. This transfer relies strictly on converting verified physical commuting behavior into an immutable empirical data record. Tracking employee activity transitions from a standard human resources expense into a measurable working capital event. Corporate finance teams routinely categorize employee activity tracking as a discretionary wellness perk. Despite billions of dollars spent annually on corporate wellness programs, they consistently fail to reduce mandatory insurance reserve requirements. This failure stems from the Actuarial Trust Problem, which dictates that actuaries cannot legally rely on consumer-grade fitness data to build their financial models. This matrix shows how smartwatches rely on unverified self-reporting, making them susceptible to data spoofing. ASOP 23 is the regulatory framework governing data reliability in actuarial modeling. It acts as a professional wall, blocking this unverified wellness data from ever touching a corporate balance sheet. Reclaiming that trapped corporate capital requires building an entirely new infrastructure layer to solve a rigid data compliance problem. The patented VIDAT platform is the infrastructure specifically engineered to solve the actuarial trust problem. The system requires raw, unprocessed witness data passively generated by existing hardware, discarding consumer-side filtered metrics entirely. The first verification layer extracts manufacturer-burned hardware UIDs to authenticate the device and prevent spoofing. The second captures raw NMEA and GPX trajectory data to confirm route and distance. The third analyzes unfiltered 3-axis accelerometer signatures to differentiate active cycling cadence from passive transit. These data streams are anchored by sub-second UTC timestamping. UTC is the primary time standard by which the world regulates clocks, providing an absolute chronological record that prevents users from replaying historical ride data. This multi-factor verification sequence eliminates identity and equipment risk at the exact point of data generation, satisfying the rigorous demands of ASOP 23. Validating the physical commute is only half the equation. The physical activity must be legally tethered to a known individual to become a financially actionable asset. During the financial sync, riders tap an NFC credit union card against their smartphone, cryptographically linking the physical session to a regulated financial identity. Finally, a mandatory check-in at a verified destination node confirms the commute ended at an approved location. A server-side anomaly detection layer continuously cross-references GPS geometry against known infrastructure to flag impossible speeds or logical discrepancies. Any anomaly triggers an automatic exception where the flag data is archived but strictly excluded from the final certified actuarial output. This architecture closes the actuarial trust gap, replacing subjective wellness logs with an immutable, independently reproducible evidence chain. While a single verified session proves a commute happened, isolated events lack the statistical weight to alter long-term corporate health cost projections. Actuarial Standard of Practice number 25 dictates that actuaries must only apply data that possesses sufficient statistical credibility to reduce process variance. This calendar grid illustrates the behavioral consistency threshold. Riders must achieve 16 or more verified sessions per 30-day period. This consistency is scaled across a pilot cohort of up to 1,000 riders, reaching minimum actuarial credibility thresholds within 12 to 18 months. Crossing these specific volume and duration thresholds elevates the raw data from an anecdotal wellness metric into a strictly governed actuarial input. The creation of this data forces a direct institutional response from corporate actuaries. Under Actuarial Standard of Practice number 41, actuaries have a professional obligation to disclose all material data sources in their models. Once VIDAT data reaches full credibility, omitting it from communications without a documented rationale constitutes a professional reporting deficiency. Actuarial Standard of Practice number 56 dictates that liability models must reflect inputs that materially reduce uncertainty. Because verified behavioral consistency directly reduces long-term health cost uncertainty, excluding this data actively overstates the corporation's financial liability. This strict regulatory framework empowers the client's appointed actuary to independently audit and sign off on the data, bypassing standard corporate budget committees entirely. Incorporating this verified data is a rigid compliance obligation that actuaries must fulfill to avoid material misstatement on the balance sheet. The actuary's formal certification of the empirical data triggers the immediate release of capital. An estimated $1,700 per employee transitions directly out of static reserves. The infrastructure captures a 20% performance fee, $340, applied to this reclassified volume. Paid entirely from reclassification proceeds upon actuarial acknowledgement, it ensures zero out-of-pocket cost. Prior to any reserve release, the program utilizes IRS Code Section 132F, a federal tax code provision governing pre-tax qualified transportation fringe benefits. The audit-grade documentation automatically generates approximately $532 in FICA tax savings per participating employee per year, providing immediate fiscal protection. Empirical verification transforms corporate wellness from a sunk cost into an institutional yield engine, converting a static actuarial liability into non-dilutive working capital.